That did not exist 4 days before we finished shooting. I like working that way. I like not knowing what the ending is.
What do you wish to do, Hamnet?
I shall be one of Father's players.
Will you be brave?
Yes.
Will you be brave?
Well, to bring the characters to life with Jessie and Paul, I very much left them to do their thing. You know, they are actors who love to explore. And I think what I needed to do is to create an environment where they feel like they could be constantly creating, but also be present. They are actors who are not afraid to get out of their heads, their minds, and their own visions about who the characters are, and be right there in the moment and like whatever they feel. As William Shakespeare, but also as Paul Mescal, you know, as Jessie Buckley, but as Agnes, come through as one. That's the type of presence and raw truth I'm interested in, because they only exist in the present moment. The way I see these two characters, first and foremost, they're archetypal. They're the yin and yang, the masculine, the feminine, civilization, nature, doing, being, Shiva, Shakti, however. There are words, there's language to describe these two polarizing forces in nature. It is in that polarity, in that tension, that how we create. And so just because he is on the other end, it doesn't mean he is now equally important in the equation.
To die. To sleep. Perchance to dream.
When I first read Maggie O'Farrell's novel, I was really moved by the heartbeat of the book. I feel like we have the same rhythm, because I found out her favorite filmmaker is Chloé, and so is mine. So I love how intimate the internal landscape portrayed in the book, and yet how vast the external, the scale of it at the same time, and intimacy. So I love stories like that. This project came to me at a time where I am trying to go inward and understand more of my own inner landscape. And I think our greatest prophets always go into nature, wilderness, under a tree, to receive the message that is beneficial for us, because I think when human beings become still and become energetically aligned with nature, we become more who we truly are, because we're part of nature. And I think once we get into that vibration, there's less fear, there's more feeling of oneness. And so I think Agnes represents a time where there are still many in the society that carries that kind of vibration and is very much lost in modern society. So it's really nice to explore the wisdom of that character. My department has very much painted the world for me. Initially, we had a lot of conversations, less about historically what's accurate, what isn't, but more about the emotional truth of these characters. Say, Lucas and I, my cinematographer, we've gone into the forest and we'll put Max Richter's music on blast, and he would run around with the camera for 4 days. And just to see how the camera moves. For example, in that trip, we discovered the void, the black hole in the ground. And then that black hole inspired our production designer to start create circular shapes, and then to create the void in the backdrop in the Globe Theater. So yeah, there's a lot of, it's an ecosystem that inspires each other. What happened was that I didn't have the ending of the film written. I didn't come up with it 4 days before we finished the entire production. So in the script, Hamlet dies on the stage, and Agnes looks around, and that's it. It finishes. As you've seen, there's a moment of oneness, of everyone reaching for Hamlet, and then you see Hamnet on the stage. These are very important moments of catharsis for the film. That did not exist 4 days before we finished shooting. I like working that way. I like not knowing what the ending is. and only allow the ending to come through when it's felt in an embodied way. So I was lost, Jessie was lost, we both knew this is not the ending of the film. And then on the fourth last day, on my way to work, I was going through a personal heartbreak at the time, having a really difficult time. And then Jessie sent me Bitter Earth, which is a version of On the Nature of Daylight with lyrics. And I listened to it in the car. As I'm listening to it, something was swell up in me, and I suddenly started to reach out to the window. And on the outside of the window, there were raindrops. I was trying to touch the rain. And I think what this song did for Jessie and me is that it evoked that oneness that allows the illusion of separation to dissolve, and then the fear goes away. And suddenly, losing love isn't that scary anymore. I realized in that moment we needed this strength from audience members for Hamlet, this young man who is afraid to lose his connection with this world because he doesn't know about the unknown on the other side, death. But in that moment when he felt oneness, then he realized that he can't die. Love doesn't die, it just transforms. And so then he had, in that moment, with the strength of everyone, he can say peacefully, the rest is silence. So for the next 4 days, we just played On the Nature of Daylight on repeat on set, and then you had the ending. So we figured we had to use the song.